Cops and other law enforcement people of Reddit, what were some cases you worked on that made you think, even if for a moment, that something supernatural/paranormal was going on? My brother is a deputy, and at the time I worked as an EMT for a few small towns in northeast Colorado. I frequently went on ride-alongs with him while waiting for 911 calls to come in. This took place in Amherst, Colorado. The town is very small. Amherst has about 50 people, a church, some houses, a grain tower, and a park. It was about 3 a.m. and we were about to call it a night. As we were making our last check on Amherst, we noticed movement at the park but couldn't tell exactly what was going on because it was pitch black. We drove up and stopped alongside the dirt road, flipped on the spotlight, and as we moved the light around the park it finally settled on the back of a young girl, maybe 13, sitting on a swing with her back facing us. We left the spotlight on her. She wasn't moving, she just sat there facing away from us looking down at the ground. Needless to say, it was a very creepy situation. We both looked at each other with that face you would make when something is out of the ordinary. I quickly suggested that we should call her over using the PA system. He agreed. As we looked back over, she was gone. I mean, no signs of anyone anywhere. The park was in a wide open area. She couldn't have gotten out of sight in the amount of time that we had our exchange of words. I remember saying, should we get out and look for her? Maybe she hid behind one of the park toys or something. My brother just looked at me and said hell to the no and drove away. It still creeps me out to this day. It's probably too late for this to surface, but this is my dad's story. He went to a call where a father had gone crazy and decided to shoot his family. He killed his wife and was looking around trying to find his 5-year-old son to shoot him. The boy had run outside and was trying to hide on the side of the house behind the trash cans. The father eventually found him and point blank emptied nearly a full magazine at the boy. When my dad arrived, they found the boy in shock, hiding right where his dad found him, not a wound on his body. There were bullet holes in the side of the house all around the boy. When they finally got to question him about it, they asked him what happened when his dad found him on the side of the yard. The boy replied, "The angel was in front of me with a shield, and he saved me. He pushed the gun away from me." I'm a second-generation firefighter. My father spent the latter days of his career as a fire safety director at a massive mental asylum. Our state version of OSHA has to come and do inspections at all facilities. His was no exception, so the OSHA inspectors make their way to an abandoned part of the facility that used to house the criminally insane. The absolute worst of the worst. Serial killers, rapists, cannibals, etc. My father left them with keys and a flashlight because the electricity didn't work. The inspectors were radioing back to my father that they kept hearing talking and footsteps, which was impossible. Not even squatters could move around because each section is isolated with locked doors to prevent escape. Eventually, the inspectors give up and actually flee without finishing. My dad decides to stick around and check the alarm boxes. They didn't. As he is checking one of the alarms, he feels as if someone is watching him from down the hall. As he looks, a shadow forms with a head, shoulders, torso but no legs and just 2 holes where there should be eyes. My dad noped the hell on out of there. Since the hospital has shut down, it has been on Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, and a myriad of other shows and movies. My dad has been in some of them. Jason from Ghost Hunters called it the scariest place he's ever investigated. So this actually happened to a friend of mine who isn't the cop in this story but is the actually family. So this happened maybe about 5 years ago. My friend is in his mid-30s. He and his wife had a 7-month-old baby and a 5-year-old son. Wife was a stay-at-home mom and dad owned his own business and had a very flexible schedule. He would take his son to school in the morning, pick him up, etc. So it's about 11 a.m. they call the cops because they keep hearing a strange sound in the home, sound like feet or something, and though he was sure it was nothing, he wanted to make sure. So he says the cop arrives and the first thing the cop says is, "Why isn't your son in school?" My friend is puzzled and says, "Huh? The cop says your boy is sitting outside on your lawn. My friend again looks at the cop strange, looks on the lawn and says, "Officer, my son is in school. I dropped him off this morning." The officer looks back, sees nothing and looks puzzled. At this moment my friend's cell phone rings and it's his son's school. Apparently he has had some sort of allergic reaction to some finger paints that had egg base or something in it, allergic to eggs, and became extremely swollen, throat swollen, and couldn't breathe. Rushed to the hospital. The cops give them an escort to the hospital so they can fly through lights and all. Arrive at hospital and the son is doing fine, is stable, got the lil shot to help him and everything. The cop waits to see how the family is doing and wants to check on the kid. My friend is appreciative and lets the cop come up, and he says that he had never seen a paler face in his life, and he said the cop looked as if he had seen a ghost. And said, "That's the kid I saw in your yard." My friend told me this, it creeped me the fuck out. I didn't believe it, but the wife co-signed the whole thing. TLDR, cop came to friend house investigating foot sounds. Cop saw a kid in the yard. My friend's son was in school. Friend gets call that son is in hospital for anaphylaxis. Cop goes to hospital, says the kid he saw in the yard was in fact my friend's kid. ICU nurse here. We had a patient that was dying. No family. Around 3 a.m. the guy started crying and asking why the little girl in the yellow dress was in the hospital. We assure him there is no little girl. He cries even more, saying yes there is, she is at the foot of the bed. Kid you not. The man passed in the next few minutes. Myself and my pod partner blame the hallucination on the meds we were giving him to keep him comfortable. Next night. New patient in the room. She's completely alert and oriented. About 3 a.m. she hits her call light. She wants to know why the little girl in the yellow dress was outside her room. We told her it was just her imagination from being in a strange place. Not 5 minutes later the guy in the next room goes into full cardiac arrest, and unfortunately we can't receive him. Of course we absolutely freak. 2 different nights. 2 different patients see the same thing. All followed by death. EMS. Called to a house with police at around 3 a.m. Relatively small shared house with a lot of rooms and people who don't know each other living there. Caller reports that there is blood everywhere, all on the walls, staircase, in the kitchen, on the doorstep. He thinks one of the upstairs residents is into dodgy stuff, which I assume was meant to be drugs or crime of some kind or whatever. Well, we open the door and sure enough there is blood everywhere. It's all on the floor and all the way up the stairs. It goes into the kitchen too but stops at the back door. There's a pool on the front doorstep but not a big one. A couple of cops go upstairs ahead of me. I'm there thinking, well shit, if someone's lost this much blood there isn't a great deal we can do for them anyway, and if whoever did it is still in the house we're about to have a major scrap on our hands. In the UK, police are unarmed. We go to the door, the dodgy guy is in, and knock. He kinda answers like yeah. The cops say they're police and they need to have a word with him. He comes to the door in pajama trousers and says he was asleep. He's not injured and has no blood on him. There's none in his room. He lets the cops have a search and his room is all fine. Seemed like a regular guy to me. We speak to all of the other neighbors in the house and the cops search their rooms and nothing. No one heard anything, that they told us anyway, and no one had anything suspicious in their room. There was no blood in anyone's bedrooms, it was only on the stairs, hallways, kitchen, and front doorstep. The 2 cops call for a dog unit to attend and search the area. The dog arrives but tracks the blood no further than the front doorstep. Whatever had caused that blood to be there seemed to still be in the house, and we had no idea whose blood it was. Thought it could potentially have been an animal's blood somehow, but unless it was a large animal there was way too much for that, and I hope we'd have found a bleeding large animal in our search. I had control pestering me to redeploy to another job, so I thanked the cops for helping me clear the house and said I had to go. They said they were gonna go do a wider search and then resume, as well as there was nothing they could find. I never heard any more about it, and as far as I know there was no murders or anything like that reported after that incident, so it's still an absolute mystery. I'm not sure if I'd describe it as paranormal, but it was certainly strange and spooky. I didn't feel creeped out at the time, but had I been one of the people living in that house I definitely would have done. Other incidents I've been to that I guess could be paranormal are usually just sad mental health incidents. Occasionally we end up at addresses with very elderly people who see their dead wives in their house and talk to them. I once went to a job where an old guy was there with his son. While I was doing some tests on the old guy, he was talking to an empty chair next to him, saying stuff like, "Oh, it's okay, he's just checking my blood pressure, then they'll be out of here and we can go back to sleep." I didn't question it and got on with my work. When I spoke to the son afterwards, he said his mom died a few years before and his dad has never really come to terms with it. The dad always claims he can see his wife there with him when she isn't, and talks to her like she is. Apparently he even sometimes makes her breakfast and tea still because he thinks she's actually there. Stuff like that is just sad rather than creepy though. Edit, because I've got a lot of comments about the investigation in the first story. I have no idea what investigation the cops did. I know they thoroughly searched the house, got a dog to search the house and surrounding area, carried out a search of the neighborhood nearby, and called a supervisor down to investigate. After that I have literally no idea, as I was redeployed and had to go. There was still cops there when I left. I don't know the outcome as it's nothing to do with me, and we don't often speak to the cops about stuff like that. I don't imagine they just looked at the scene, thought, weird. Anyway, let's go. I imagine there was some investigation done, but I really don't know what.